They believe that they're finished here tonight and never to come back. That's what they believe. That's why they've been around looking for jobs, and I've been looking for jobs for them.
The raw face of redundancy, but it's a reality check. Just 2 days out from the election and these guys are all out of a job. The spirit of competition has lost its own.
Oh, I've lost my job. They've told me it's finished tonight, but nothing really official. You know, like they show me, you know, like no papers to say I'm finished or nothing.
Some of these wolfies sent packing, like John, have been on the job for more than 21 years, but it's over and the uncertainty bites.
It's an unfortunate feeling to be, you know, to lose your job, and it's just a matter, well, with the time Christmas coming up and that, it's just unfortunate that it's happened. But we'll just have to get out there and bounce back, I suppose.
To me, it doesn't really affect me that much because I'm ready to retire. But, you know, it affects the young fellas, eh? That's what I feel for. It's the young fellas, you know.
Young fellas like Damien. He's got 3 kids, a partner and the rent to pay, somehow.
Of course, I feel the pressure, but it's I have to deal with it, you know, because, you know, my kids are hoping that I will come home providing them with everything that I can. So, of course, I've got to be optimistic.
But it's not looking flash. 15 wharfies have lost their jobs. After 26 years, Pacifica Shipping, which carries trucks, trailers and cars to and from Littleton, has sunk its Wellington run because of rising port charges and dwindling cargo.
The present economic scene is certainly having an effect on jobs, and there's daily accounts of job losses.
There's not much we can do about it, you know.
Are you going to be able to pay your bills next year?
Well, it depends if there's any jobs going. I mean, everyone's getting laid off all around the country, so it's a gamble that we're going to have to take. But we just have to get out there and look.
And fast forward to today, and things are not looking any better for them.
I'm renting, and it's, I suppose, so it's not as heavy a burden as some of my other work colleagues with mortgages, etc. So, but it's still a burden.
The spirit of competition is now docked here at Wellington's harbour. The grounds behind me, which are usually busy, are now empty. When I spoke to the boys earlier today, they told me they're still waiting for their final pay and their redundancy payout. None of them have found work yet. They say they can't until the settlement goes through. They say they're all sticking together, but keeping morale high is extremely hard.
Our people that are being made redundant at the moment, and other workers around the country, they are faced with the current policy of stand downs before they can get any assistance from the state.
Finding a new job is unlikely to be easy.
The only prospect for them is at best to be attached to casual work with other employers.
Sadly, the trend is mirrored around the nation. Air New Zealand, the latest to announce hundreds of jobs will go, but it follows a cull already this year across many industries throughout the country. And official figures back up the grim forecast that things are about to get a lot worse. Unemployment figures have jumped by 12,000 people in the 6 months ending September, and it's on the rise. Figures show unemployment has skyrocketed almost 20% in the past year, with 94,000 people unemployed. That's the highest it's been in 3 years. And those figures don't even count people like Damien and Jason or anyone else who lost their job in the past 2 months. So their message to the new government:
well, now's delivery time. So, you know, come to the party.
Give us hope, give us new change, you know, and just to help out those, give us a job, pretty much, and to look after the little guys.
So where is it all going to go? How will the little guys fare? And have we seen the worst? Now, joining me now, Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz, and from the National Distribution Union, National Secretary Lila Hari. Lila, look, we're seeing redundancies already. Is it going to get worse?
Well, I think it already has got worse, and in quite a quiet way during the last year. We see workers affected in 3 major ways. First of all, the large-scale closures in the wood industry. We've had 19 timber mills closed this year. We've had two major textile carpet mills close in the last few months, and there are a number of other places, you know, like the port company you had on the program, who are under impending notice of redundancy. The second thing we're seeing is much more insidious. A lot of workers are losing their jobs, but not through redundancy. The huge growth in temporary and casual employment through labour hire agencies and so on. Those workers are the first to lose their jobs in a downturn, and we've seen hundreds, perhaps thousands of those new job loss figures are as a result of people not being taken on for another day, another week, a month by a labour hire company.
So, Bernard Hickey, the situation, is it worse than what the figures are suggesting at the moment?
Well, I think there is an increase, obviously, in unemployment, and it's likely to keep going. Many people are forecasting an unemployment rate of close to 6% within the next year to two years. But remember, this is off very low unemployment in historic terms. And for many employers, they will look to hoard their workers, try and keep them on during this tough time, because they know how hard it is to find good people in a year or two's time when the economy recovers. If there's any lessons to be learnt from previous downturns, it's keep holding on to your good workers, because when times get better, you'll need to work very hard to get them back.
What should the government be doing?
Well, there's two things. They can increase their spending, and they're already doing that on infrastructure and also reducing taxes. That is going to deliver a punch of money into people's wallets, which they can then spend and get the economy going again. And secondly, it's not specifically the government, but the Reserve Bank can cut interest rates, and it will do that heavily again on December the 4th, 2 weeks' time, when it's expected to cut the official cash rate by 1%, which will really give a lift to many people struggling with high interest rates.
Because a lot of there's those flow-on things, aren't they? I mean, if someone loses their job, they can't, for instance, if they're in that situation, pay maintenance or support kids. That means more expenses are loaded onto the government again.
And I think it's important, too, to remember that unemployment officially employment is working for an hour a week. And in this more insidious environment we're in, we're seeing workers lose hours of work, lose days of work. One major pulp and paper mill that our union organises, for the first time in 35 years, they're investigating going on to a 4-day working week. So workers lose income, their costs aren't reducing, but, you know, they're not going to be counted as unemployed.
Should we look at cutting back on wages?
Well, this is the opportunistic approach that a number of actually quite well-off employers are taking, and that would be a completely counterproductive measure. There are a number of employers who are doing OK, who are using this environment to try and keep downward pressure on wages, and I think one of the things the government needs to do is, in the minimum wage review, which is due now, to increase minimum wages and to continue the upward track of those wages.
Bernard.
And I think many employers will be careful before they cut wages this time around, because they know they have to keep their workers from going overseas, and it's a competitive thing. You need to make sure you keep your workers here.
Look, we heard right through the election campaign, both sides, National and Labour, we've got a plan, we're going to save workers, we're going to help them get through this. Bill English is on, the acting Prime Minister, after the break. What do you want to hear from him, Bernard?
How quickly can he bring forward the infrastructure spending that the new government has talked about, because that will give a boost in employment. Some of those workers on the ports could go and work building motorways, and how quickly can you give the economy a boost of money into infrastructure spending?
Lila, what do you want to hear from Bill English?
Well, we've already asked Bill English the question, and that's, now that he's got the power, is he going to share it? Will he get the players around the table on an industry or sector basis to actually do some real hard thinking about where we go? I mean,
is it just a talk fest, though?
No, absolutely not. I mean, for example, infrastructure spending, yes, it has to come in quickly, but what sort of infrastructure spending? Roads are not going to create as many jobs as houses.
So you wanted to bring others in and let's look for ideas?
Absolutely, and on a sector basis, because we've got industries that are in crisis, and the wood industry is one of those, and there are a lot of jobs down the line that are dependent on the survival of that industry.
We'll see what he's got to say about that after the break. Now,